Right. So coming to the next one, Sankalp Edible Oil Limited is a public company which has the business of manufacturing cooking oil. The company is in this particular business since last 25 years. Financial results are as follows: aggregate outstanding loan, debenture, deposit, turnover, paid up capital, net profit after tax of the company. During 3031, Agam and Associates were the auditors of the company. The auditors found out significant deficiencies in internal control and misrepresentation of amounts in the area of trade payable. Therefore, auditor issued a qualified report. Next year, management did not wish to reappoint the same auditor, and hence board of directors recommended Angi as the auditor for 3132 to the members of the company. After appointment, Angi went to previous year financial statements audit report and emphasized the understatement of trade payable balance as a significant audit risk. Auditor set the materiality at 15 lakh for conducting the audit. Further, Angi is in the process to select the sample for testing so as to get the sample on which vendor balance reconciliations can be performed. She is considering the following for the same. Major vendors where the confirmation balance agrees to general ledger, vendors which have high volume of business with Sankalp, vendors with balance of 15 lakh or more outstanding at the year end, vendor with balance 15 lakh or less at the year end. As at 2032, the balance of two vendors as per the company general ledger and the balance as per the confirmation which are received from the vendors are as under. Suchi groundnut, Nishi sunflower, balance as per general ledger, balance as per external confirmation. So there is under recording of the tables in the books of account. Right. The difference in the balance is due on the one is due to one of the order received by the company. This order is under dispute as the company claims that the received raw material is of substandard quality. The consignment receipt was sent back to the vendor on 31. Nishi Sunflowers Limited, the difference in the balance is due to the reason of two invoices dated 25th March and 27th March. As per the accounts payable executive, both the invoices were received on April 31, is April 331, and therefore these are not recorded for 32. Angi took the sample to verify trade payable balances, which covered 30% of the population. During the audit, she came across two errors amounting to 12 lakh. 4 lakh was due to one invoice not recorded due to weak, inefficient internal control, and 8 lakh error was made by Samyak and executive who came as a temporary replacement for 1 week in the place of Hetavi, who is a permanent accountant of the company. The mistake was clerical in nature. So one was inefficient control, second was clerical. Based on the above facts, answer. Which item should Angi select for testing so as to get the samples on which vendor balance reconciliations can be performed? Right, so it says major vendors where the confirmation balances agrees to the general ledger, vendors having the high volume of business, vendors with balance of 15 lakh and vendors with balance of the 15 lakh or less outstanding at the year end, right? So vendors having the high volume of business that we certainly want, right? So one does not have that option, but other three they have. Okay, right. Then vendors with balance of 15 lakh or more outstanding at the year end. So wherever there is three that we want is as an option, right? So now what we are left with B and D. Okay, right. So vendors have, yes, so three and yes, what we say two and three there, and you're also two and three there. Now here, what does it say? Vendors with balance of 15 lakh or less outstanding at the year end. And then second over here, one major vendors where the confirmation balance agrees to the general ledger. So it agrees to the general ledger. So that is why B should be selected, right? So with more than 15 lakh, less than 15 lakh, and high volume of the business. Okay. How can Angi audit the operating effectiveness of internal control around the accounting of the trade payable? Right? How can they check the operating effectiveness of internal control? Recalculating the aging of trade payable. So recalculation is not TOC. It is more of a substantive procedure. And a recalculation. Right, select samples from the supplier, balance on the scientific random sampling approach and verify the third party evidence. Again, that is your inspection, substantive audit procedure. Right, inspect a fake purchase invoice into the client system to see if it is processed accurately. Yeah, that is actually where you are doing the control testing. And calculate trade payable days to be used in analytical. So again, that's an analytical procedure, right? So which would be control testing, input a fake purchase invoice into the client system to see if it is processed accurately. Right. What are the audit procedures that Angi should perform to verify whether the payable balance of Nishi Sunflower are correctly recorded in the financial statements? Right. So now you want to check whether the payable balance of Nishi, whether they've been correctly recorded, because two invoices they say we received it on April 3. right? So now send a confirmation to Nishi Sunflower, verify the bank payment for the period post 31st March, review the listing of the purchase order to confirm whether it pertains to 31-32 or the next financial year, inspect the GRN to determine the date of receipt of the raw material. So inspect the GRN, right, that whether the goods were received by the company or no. And what would be the proper course of action to be taken by Angi for the two errors amounting to 4 lakh and 8 lakh in the given scenario? Right, so 30% of the population was taken as the sample, and in that the two errors of 4 lakh and 8 lakh were identified. Right, so the total amount of error is below materiality, therefore it should not be considered for further work upon. Angi should ask Sankalp Edible Limited to adjust 12 lakh in the payable balance and rectify. Different set of samples represent the same amount should be selected to check whether the same errors are getting repeated. If it is not, then the observation should be waived off. We waive off this option. The impact of errors noted in the audit of sample test of details should be projected and extrapolated across the whole population. Right? So it should be projected across the whole population.